Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 38. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And we are brought to you, as always, by Watch Communications. And I'm going to throw our other sponsors in there because I've noticed so many people drop off at like 50 minutes.
So we're forcing you.
We're going to force you this time, and maybe they'll just stop listening like right now.
Nah.
We also want to throw out a shout to our other sponsors, TGM Off-Road. Who else we got? UTV Engineering, UTV-doors.com, Spangs Fab. I'm trying to do this by memory. Harrison Power Sports and CW Motorsports. I had to look for the last one. And of course, we do still have that deal going with Watch Communications, where if you need web hosting, the code Waste of Time with no spaces will get you 10% off your first month of web hosting. If you need internet access, they can also hook you up with that as well. And you can find us on the web at eminentperformance.com, on Facebook /Eminent Racing, on Instagram at Eminent Racing, and you can find the podcast on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
You got it. Knocked it all out. Look at that. Let's get all that junk out the way and get
and now you can stop listening. We're good. I was just thinking about all these other podcasts that I've listened to, and they tend to front load that stuff because it is natural tendency. If it's an hour-long show and somebody has a 45-minute drive, okay, I've heard enough of it. We're done.
Yeah.
So I want to throw our sponsors out there because they are a huge, huge help to us.
Yep.
So look at you in your fancy dress shirt today. For those of you who are watching, and if you're not watching and just listening, he's got a very nice kind of orangey, pinkish, I don't know what color to describe that as, but golf shirt.
Yeah.
You're all dressed up.
This is how I have to go to work.
See, I normally am because I'm coming straight out of work to do this.
Yeah, but I normally get here before you. But like
I pushed you today.
Yeah, well, like I was talking about, I feel like everything in my life right now is this dead sprint to try and keep up with everything else going on. And I'm just hoping my feet keep up so I don't fall flat on my face. It's just one of those busy times in life. Looking forward to a vacation here in a few weeks for me and for you also. So.
If I make it that far, because I'm in the same boat and I've got about 3 weeks of work to do in the next week and a half to get ready for vacation.
Yeah.
I guess it's camping, so worst case scenario, we just sleep outside.
Yeah, sleep with the bears. You'll be fine.
It'll be fine. My parents have a nice small camper. We can all just cram in there.
No, you can't. I haven't seen their new one, but I've seen one just like it. No, you can't.
Somebody sleeping on the counter, another person sitting in the corner.
On the toilet.
Exactly. That'd be me. I'd never have to move. It's perfect.
Awesome. Right until your dad has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and doesn't see you there.
Oh, God. I don't want to go camping anymore. I'm done. My brother-in-law always joked that his ultimate recliner was like the recliner where they had a refrigerated armrest that you could keep drinks in, and it was also a toilet, and like he would just never have to move.
Why would you want to do that?
I have no idea. It sounds terrifying to me.
Is to sit here and veg out in front of the TV and poop in my chair.
I thought the same thing. That sounds actually really legitimately terrible.
It does.
I'm thinking, isn't that just what they call being in a retirement home?
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah. I'm in no hurry to get there.
Nope.
I'll probably end up there sometime because of some horrific, injury that will render me inoperable. But
maybe I'll be involved in said injury.
Oh, I've already factored that in. You will be, and you'll be sitting right next to me. But I'm hoping that's many years down the road.
Yep.
At least let me get to 40 or something.
You got a few years.
So you got to visit a different race series between podcasts here, the Midwest Side-by-Side League.
Yep, I get series, not
series.
League.
Series League.
Series League, yeah.
League of Heroes. I don't know.
No.
They do side-by-side racing, but they only do side-by-side racing.
They only do side-by-side racing. Yeah, I got to go over there. It was in Casey, Illinois, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. So it really wasn't a bad drive. I mean, it was basically, for me, hop on the interstate and hang out for an hour and a half and then get off. And it was like 5 minutes off the interstate. So
nice.
Really worked out well. That's
almost closer than some of the Midwest XC stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It was hot. It was.
Oh, yeah. This past weekend stunk.
I
heat index was north of triple digits.
Yeah. I think actual temperature there was like 95. And yeah, it's hot, and there's a fair amount of open at this track because it was on like partial motocross section, so it was different to have that.
You put out a video where you'd done some drone footage, and that was my first thought. It looked like a motocross track.
Yeah, it was, but it was really set up for like side by sides. The ramps weren't arced; they were a flat jump. So
nice.
So you could actually jump them.
Devin Smith had some video from he actually made the trek out there as well. And I noticed the jumps, it looked, you're used to seeing UTV jumps from inside the cage.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at the ground because the nose is instantly down. But this looked like they were carrying him a lot better. So.
Yeah, they were. They were pretty good. Now, there was a few that weren't ideal. I don't know if they didn't set them up that way just so that people weren't running full out. But yeah, it was neat. Not a lot of hills on that track, but then again, it's Illinois. It's so flat you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. I mean,
I've driven down through Illinois like diagonally because I used to live at the north end of Indiana.
Yep.
So you jump on 55 and run diagonally across until you got to St. Louis. And once you got out past Joliet, that is the most boring drive I've ever done in the United States. I mean, people complain about Nebraska and parts of Iowa and stuff like that. Southern Illinois is the most boring place on this planet. I'm convinced.
Well, you get down into southern Illinois, and there's some hills down there, but
2 to be exact. No.
So, no, it was a great series, man. They do a lot of things different, but right. The track was plenty wide. So I didn't race, obviously. My machine is not prepped nor ready for it in any stretch of the imagination. But I did help pull some machines out, some guys' blue belts, and you guys might have seen the Instagram and Facebook post where a guy clipped a tree at, I don't know, 40, 50 mile an hour, whatever it was, and rolled it.
I'll go ahead and insert those in here if you have not.
Yeah, so you'll see those. And my brother just rode by on a mini chopper. Never mind. Sorry, distracted
Nothing
easily.
to see here.
Anyway, so no, it was really good. The track was nice and wide, although there's a few spots that it wasn't like too tight to fit through, but it was where you wanted to slow down a little bit.
Sure.
Just to get through some spaces.
And there's nothing wrong with, having some technical bits. So
My brother's now circling my house on a mini chopper.
He's like a one-person motorcycle gang.
Yes.
It'd be threatening if there was maybe 30 of them.
Yeah. So, no, he's in the front yard. He was in my backyard. This is the stuff that happens around here on a Wednesday afternoon.
Just because.
So, yep, it was warm, it was hot, but track was good. Cody from CW Motorsports, he's one of the guys who runs it, and CW Motorsports is one of their premier sponsors or whatever they call them. Title sponsors, yes. And Josh, I can't remember how to say his last name. I want to say it's like Durbin, something like that. Anyway,
we'll go with that.
Sorry, Josh. Anyway, he was there, and he's one of the other guys who runs it, and they put on a good series.
Now, did those two start the series together, like have the idea, put their heads together and do it, or did Josh start it and Cody kind of came along, or do you know the history?
How it all came together. There was one more guy, but he's had some health problems, and he's had to back out. Okay. So
because this series is pretty new, correct?
It is. It's only, I think, a couple of years old. They had 19, it was either 19 or 20 machines on the pro row. They actually had to do a 2-row start.
Nice.
So it wasn't bad. They ran the 800, 900s, and 1000s, what we call the heavies, in like one race, and then they ran the pros in a separate race. So,
that is interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also was good.
It gives the faster buggies the pro buggies specifically, just a chance to run. There's no weeding through lap traffic or anything
checking
like
up
that.
Due to lap traffic or something. And yeah, so I did like how they did that. I'm not saying that can be done in every series, just time doesn't allow sometimes. It's how it is. But they had, I'm wanting to say 3 or 4 800s and then like 5 or 6 1000s and 900s that ran. So they had a fair amount of UTVs. I mean,
Well, a lot of the people we normally talk about were there. I know Mike Plank was there and ran.
Yep.
Outran all the lights as usual and was setting his sight on the heavies.
He was passing 1,000s.
Are you serious?
In the video that I put out, it will have been about a week ago. It's from when this airs. But the pass that you see Mike Plank making, where he's kind of going up a little bank and around a guy, that is a 1,000 he is going around.
Nice.
He said he was going for the no lift 800.
just to the floor.
Oh yeah, he's just running and screws to the wood the whole time. So it was.
It's fun that the track is set up that way where you can do it, because in true cross country racing you can't do that. There's no way.
Now there were spots in the track that obviously he couldn't.
Yeah.
But there on we'll call it the motocross section, it was pretty dry. There was some dust that would even fly from time to time, but they even had a tractor that they watered it. So before the race. So it was well taken care of. In the woods, it was wet. It was muddy. They got 9 inches of rain the week before the race.
Holy cow.
Yeah. The only thing that saved them is a lot of that ground is really sandy, so it shedded away really quick.
Drained off pretty well.
Yeah, but they still had a lot of wet. Matt Hecker was there. Tyler Brittingham, they were both there. I had to pull Matt Hecker out because he's in an X3, and it's a low-slung X3. It's lower than a lot of others. And because he runs smaller tire, too, like a 27 instead of a 29 or whatever. And he got hung up on the belly in one of the little wood sections, just couldn't move. So
nice.
I hooked mine to him, and I was able to drag him enough where he could get going. So
Razor saves the day.
Razor saves the day. Well,
I bet you're itching to race there, though. I know you. I know you were watching them, and you wanted to.
I did. And even Cody asked me if I was after the parade lap, because they do, for those listeners that don't know, I think you knew this, but they do a parade lap prior to the race.
Yeah.
Basically, Cody was in a Yamaha Rhino, which is none too fast, but they're not trying to go fast, and everyone lines up, and they all ride one lap around the track. There are very good things about that. You can get an idea of the hills. You can get an idea of, where will I fit easily and where do I have to slow down more. It's a good thing to do. Not, like I said before, not all things will translate well into other series, and sometimes you just don't have time. But the way they're set up and they're only running side-by-sides, they have the time to do it, and that is very beneficial.
See, that's one thing I like about the series is since they're only doing side-by-sides, they can do some different things like that. And I think as the series continues to grow, let's say they have to throw a third race in. They divide it up into 3 different races instead of 2. That's still easily doable in a day.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you had to do 4, you could do 4 in one Saturday. It's not that big a deal. I mean, we do it all the time on the cross-country side.
Yep.
So they've got a lot of flexibility to set it up and really tailor it to side-by-sides as opposed to... We give all the series around here grief about it, and it's not... We understand that it's not a conscious decision to... be unfair to side-by-side owners, but the reality is they're there to race bikes and quads because there's so many of them racing. I mean, there's hundreds of them compared to just tens of side-by-sides.
Yeah.
So there's only time to do one race. You don't have time to do a parade lap. You don't have time to do a lot of that stuff. It's just thrown in at the end of the day Saturday, whether you're racing IXCR or MWXC. It's the same scenario.
Yep.
So this is kind of a refreshing breath of fresh air, and I really think once more people know about it, they're going to be interested in racing that series.
Yeah.
And one other thing they do that's kind of interesting and unique is you don't have to have a co-driver.
That's correct. You can if you would like, and several people did take. I think Mike Plank rode with Devin. I don't know. I was real busy.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because they were in different races now.
Yeah. So he just wanted to ride along, just for kicks and giggles, and he did.
Nice.
I think he did anyway. I'm pretty sure. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong on that, or Devin. I don't, whoever. But no, you can if you want to take a passenger. And Cody, who owns CW Motorsports and is the title sponsor and everything else, he raced and his wife raced. And because it was separate races, she was able to race. It was a 1,000 machine, so she raced in the heavy class or whatever they call it, the 1000s, whatever they call it in that series.
Sure.
And Cody raced in the pro. Same buggy, just she got out, he got in, he lined up, then he went away, he went.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Different driver, so.
Yeah.
Do you know, is it set up where the points follow the driver? Is that how they do it?
Yes,
so
points follow the driver.
Okay.
Yeah. Points don't follow the buggy.
So once you're in the series, you can't, I can't make this race. Somebody else can drive for me.
No.
Okay.
No. Points follow the driver, which, I mean, there's two schools of thought for everybody who isn't necessarily into racing. Points follow the buggy or points follow the driver. Points follow the buggy would allow a substitute driver to be there, but if you total that buggy out, your season is done. Points follow the driver. It relies on that same driver being at every race, but if you have a problem with the buggy, you can borrow another one. You can just use something.
I'm personally a fan of it following the driver for that reason. It's really about the driver's particular skill and driving style that way.
Yeah. And
let's say you are big enough that you have a race team. Maybe you have 2 or 3 buggies, and if you blow one up, who cares? You've got another one. And that way it's kind of like NASCAR or any other racing where the driver is really the person who, you're after. It's not the machine. So
yeah.
I think it's the right way to handle it, but everyone's got a different take. So I wasn't positive how they did that.
Yep. That's how they do it. And it seems to work really well. Yeah, there's a little bit of carnage. Some people broke belts and, stuff happens. You're racing. Stuff happens. But it was well set up, and I mean...
Now, are they just in Illinois right now, or are they racing in any other states?
They do cross over to Missouri, I know, for at least one, but they're pretty much just in Illinois.
Maybe we could get them over this way into Indiana.
Yeah, maybe. It'd be nice to find them a property where they could do it, and yeah.
I think we know people.
I know
we could probably make something happen.
Yeah. I think if they're looking to pick up a few more rounds, it would be good.
The Eminent Performance Waste of Time race.
Yeah. They were actually pretty easy on the ground except for where it was really wet. You're going to dig ruts.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It just is what it is. But I'll tell you what, if it's wet, nobody digs ruts quite like a dirt bike.
Oh, yeah.
They may not be as wide,
but they are deep.
But they're 4 foot deep.
Yeah. It's amazing some of the ruts those things dig. Just crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you run, you're going to tear it up. And people, make comments about side-by-sides are heavier and they put more power down, so they tend to be harder on the ground. And if you're talking equal numbers, yes, a side-by-side is going to be harder on a piece of property than one quad would be.
Yes.
But when quads and dirt bikes outnumber you
10 to
at
1.
least 10 to 1,
yeah,
it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, those quads and dirt bikes just shred it.
Yeah, there's just so many of them. So honestly, I think a smaller side-by-side race overall is probably easier to deal with.
Yeah. So, no, great time. I fully suggest that if you guys are anywhere near within driving distance, just get to one of the races. Even if you aren't racing, just go check them out. It's a hoot. Great people there. I've never been to that series. I knew several of the drivers, and I'd met Cody once before. But man, everybody treated me like I'd been around the series for years. So
yeah, just a great group of people. And honestly, if you're just go and have fun. Let's say you got an old Rhino, or you've got a little Trail 570 Razor, or you've got a Yamaha, Wolverine or something like that. Run it in the lights and just go have some fun with it.
Yeah. Even if you got a stock, XP Turbo or something, go out there and just don't push quite as hard. I mean, don't push to where you're going to ball it up. I didn't.
You can't not do that.
I have a real problem with that. I will admit I have a
I was
very
not there
real
to
problem.
be the coach and be like, dude, you need to slow down.
I don't do slow well.
No.
Everything is like, I can go faster. I should be going faster.
So I always cite the CF Moto. You need to tell me to brake later into those corners. I'm like, dude, your foot is on the floor. There are no brakes left. We cannot brake any later.
I think I could flinch slightly slower and it would be fine.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I have zero fear of crashing anything. That's, I guess, a problem.
I don't either. I'm legitimately not worried about it. My whole thing is I just want to finish. So I always try and back you off for that reason, but I don't care if we run it into a tree. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah. Is what
I
it
wasn't
is.
sure how I was going to feel racing with Barry the other day.
Yeah.
And it was funny because a half lap in, I'm like, go faster.
I realized
You've whooped it all out of me.
I have, but I realized the other day because every time I go to a race, no matter what, I take my race suit and helmet, even if I don't need to, if I have no plans of being in one, I take it. Someone else may need it. Is my thought.
Well, sure.
Because they have rules that you have to wear long sleeve shirts at least, pants, closed-toed shoes, and all that. So somebody might need it. Not even for me. But I got to thinking about this. I'm like, maybe I didn't pick like the safest sport ever when, you think I need a suit to protect me from the fire so that I might be able to get out alive should I roll this thing up in a ball.
Well, it is a razor.
Yeah. It's any machine.
I know. I'm just messing
But
with you.
I chuckled. That's not going to stop me from driving one and having fun and racing again.
That's way safer than, say, drag racing motorcycles or, standing, like surfing them at highway speeds or
maybe I've done all these
any
things.
of the other stupid things. I mean, I can't, there's not enough time. We've got 40 minutes left. That's not enough time to list all the stuff I know.
Yeah, I know.
So honestly, I think the fact that you have a cage and crash protection and a fire suit makes this probably the safest thing you've ever done.
I thought the cage was there to protect the world from me.
Well, it could go either way. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a ball.
It really is. I mean, we
If you
never
guys
want to
haven't
discourage
ridden-
anybody from racing through all the stuff we say about how much it costs and everything else. Because honestly, you're never going to have a better time with your machine.
No, you won't. And even if you guys haven't ridden with someone, start getting involved in some of the race series, show up and get to know some of these guys. They're all great people. I've never met a person at a race where I was like, I can't stand them.
Yeah. No.
But get to know some of these guys, and I can promise you they will find a way to get you to ride with them if you really want to.
Oh, yeah.
And you will have a ball. You'll be hooked, and you'll be looking for a way to do it all the time. It's fun.
I know. I've ridden with so many people this year already. I'm like, this isn't good. I'm going to spend money. I'm going to do it. It's going to happen.
Yep. It happens.
Well, speaking of spending money, there's a couple new ways on the market that you might be able to do that. The first one we wanted to talk about was the SuperATV R2S2.
There will be no dollars of mine spent on said thing. Have you guys seen this? Has anybody seen this?
Again, I will insert it right about now.
So this picture of this atrocity that you have seen or are looking at, whatever.
I kept thinking it was April Fool's. Like, did I miss it? It's
the exact thing of what the joke was that came out when Polaris announced the RS2, and they said, look, it's the RS4, and they stacked 4 seats. They did the same thing, but they only did it with 2.
But they're making it. It's a real thing.
They made one. They're not making. It's not a production thing.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if enough people waved money at them that
Everyone
probably
is,
would.
Everyone is hiding their wallets from this thing. They want nothing to do with it.
It legitimately is a very ugly vehicle, a very impractical vehicle. They took everything that was great about the RS1 and ruined it.
Yeah. And okay, so I'll tell on myself. I watched the SuperATV live feed they were talking about it. It was yesterday, so it would have been like a week and something ago for all you guys listening now. And the guy was saying, oh, we're innovative and all this. I'm like, you attacked it with the Sawzall, and I'm typing all this. And my brain is telling me, behave. Shut up, Chad. Shut up. And my fingers are like, no, we're going forth. He's like, we are innovative, and we did something that's never been done before. And I'm typing, just because it hasn't been, or just because you can doesn't mean you should do it. And I was being kind of mean. I'll admit.
So we are going to be famous one way or the other.
Yeah,
or maybe infamous.
I'm sorry, you guys. Anybody who really knows me, I'm going to tell you what I think.
You do not have a filter.
Yeah,
we get along great because of that.
Yeah, I have a big problem with filtering what I'm thinking and what comes out of my mouth. It just comes out.
I told you this earlier today, but my first thought when I saw it is they should have done king and queen seat, like bumped up the cage in the back and had the back person higher. I mean, if you're going to make that thing, why not go all out?
So the specs on this thing, they stretched it 30 inches and they acted like it was some massive ordeal to do. They literally cut it under the driver's feet, pulled it back 30 inches, and put some tube in there.
I was going to ask you how they did it, if it was just tube or...
Cutting more tube. That's it.
Like, not even like a ladder frame or anything?
Nope. Same frame under there, just cutting more tube.
I'm wondering how squishy that is now. Yeah, that's a fair amount of length to add into a vehicle that is that narrow to begin with in the frame width, because it is narrowed down from a normal XP.
Yeah.
So I was just curious how...
They probably put some extra bracing in it, but okay. I mean, really, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They didn't change any suspension. It's still all completely stock. They didn't change the motor. Well, they put a tune on the motor, but nothing to really write home about. It's just so the really, guy's saying, "Oh, it's a great view for the passenger. You can see all the scenery all around you, except in front of you." It's like, yeah, who wants to see where they're going? That's the whole point.
Yeah, even if they were to produce this, nobody's going to buy it. I mean, I'm not saying they built it to do that. It was really a showcase piece, and I understand that.
Right.
But yeah, it was really the UTV that nobody was asking for, the mod that nobody cared about. So it's neat that they did it. I mean, it shows...
No, it's not.
I'm trying to put a happy face on this thing.
There's no happiness here.
Okay. It's just an ugly thing, and we're going to, like I said, I'll throw the video there, but yeah, it's...
They shouldn't have done it.
It's special.
There's nothing good. There's nothing good from that. So...
Well, while you're in a good mood, let's talk about the Honda Talon. Or the Honda.
Honda?
The Honda Talon. Because if you didn't catch it, the first several pictures that were released, because I'm sure you've seen it, everybody had pictures out of this thing.
Yeah, we did not post any. Doug and I talked about this. I didn't post any news on this thing for very specific reasons. I so much don't want to be the person who brings you false information, more so than I want to be the person that brings you correct information first. So this thing, when it came out, the watermarks on it were Hodna, HODNA.com, instead of Honda. So there's questions to its legitimacy straight away.
Yeah.
It's like, was it some Chinese knockoff that someone threw that watermark on and misspelled it or whatever? I don't know. And there's all these things that were questioned.
I'll be straight up honest. I'm still not sure it's a real thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't look like a Honda design to me.
It does not.
When I look at it, it doesn't look like anything they would build. It looks like something a Chinese company would build. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, just the lines on it make it look like something a Chinese UTV manufacturer would build.
I'm going to say it. If you guys, Honda, if that's you, fine, whatever. If you produce that thing, it is ugly.
Wow.
The front end, it's like they set the headlights about 1.5 feet too far in.
You are in a good mood today.
I am in a great mood. They just set the headlights too far in, and it looks funny.
It kind of does.
Doug will insert the picture here so you all can see it while we're talking about this.
It is an odd looking machine, and they didn't really give you any close-up pictures of any consequence. That's the other thing that doesn't lend any legitimacy. It looks like it's taken in a warehouse from way too far away, which makes it odd to begin with. But yeah, it's got a very kind of pinched in where the headlights are. They're very close together.
But the fenders aren't.
The fenders are very wide and spread out. It's got a long hood, and then the cage is kind of just sunk way back there. Like the front end looks pretty disproportionate, I guess is the best way to put it.
I have no problem with the back end or the sides or anything else. It's the headlights that do it for me. Whatever.
Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of real... there's a lot of speculation out there, which I'm not going to... This podcast is not trying to lend any legitimacy to it. I'm just reciting what's out there. There will be a 1,000cc motor in it that'll be between 90 and 100 horse. Supposedly there is a factory option or a factory turbo kit. They're not going to put it on initially, but there'll be a kit that you can buy for it that'll move you up to the 150 horse range.
Yeah.
And supposedly, if what was posted is correct, it will be released in November. And then there's just wild speculation from there. People looking at somewhat blurry pictures from a distance and saying, oh, it looks like it's going to have about 20 inches of travel.
Yeah.
I have no idea how you got that from that picture, but if it makes you feel better, sure.
Yeah. There's no way to guess that. That's pure guess.
The springs do look like they're dual rate if you look at them closely, which in a machine that class, you would just figure that they are.
Yep.
Really, that's about it. It appears to have a paddle shift. And if
One model
does. So I don't know if there's going to be one that has a CVT and one that has a paddle shift. If it does have that paddle shift, it's probably going to be stolen straight out of the Pioneer 1000, I would guess.
Yep, they already have that.
So
I'm gonna go. If we'll start with, I'll preface everything I'm going to say is, if this is actually a legitimate Honda, then these are my thoughts. So because there's nothing that actually says it is a Honda yet.
No.
So if it actually is the new legitimate Honda Sport side-by-side, from what they've shown, it appears to be nothing amazing so far.
No, really. It's not a contender out there for, King of the Hill in the 1000cc market.
Yeah, the horsepower numbers are nothing amazing. The suspension, if what we've been seeing is nothing amazing. The paddle shifter thing's been done. I mean, I'm not saying it won't be a decent machine, because I will be the first to tell you Honda has typically made great equipment just across the board. It lasts a long time.
And that's typically why you see them down on horsepower a little bit, because they're more interested in having it last for 10 years than be fast for 2.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's just a different mindset. What are you looking for? Are you looking for the fastest, or are you looking for something that's smoother and will last you for 15 years? It's all what you're looking for. Now, you're going to pay for that with a Honda. Honda's always premium priced.
Again, the wild speculation was it was going to be in the 20K range, and that's naturally aspirated. But again, this is all just
speculation.
Conjecture. Yeah, there is no credence. Don't lend any credence to this.
So, yeah.
Because I think the rumors of the Talon date back 3 years now.
Oh, yeah, long time or more. Wanting to say more.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And there's pictures that have surfaced over the years that people said, that's the new Honda Talon. We've all seen the picture of the silver buggy with one guy in it and another one like trying to push it into a trailer in some downtown city.
Oh, yeah.
If we can find that picture, Doug will insert it here. But everyone said that was the Honda Talon. Well, whatever that was or is looks absolutely nothing like this Honda Talon that we see the pictures of, the green and the blue one that just surfaced last week. So what is it? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The Honda hasn't made any statements, and
I know you're not going to go buy one.
No.
Regardless. But what's your thoughts? I mean, just in general, are you just unimpressed? You don't think it'll sell well, or?
They're bringing to market something that they're labeling as a sports side-by-side, although they're doing the exact same thing the Double X did, which is bringing something that would have been a competitive sports side-by-side 5 to 7 years ago. If this is the same thing.
So late to the game.
They're late to the game.
That's kind of where I see it. It fills out their side-by-side market, because really what they have is the Pioneer. They have utility side-by-sides. This brings something sporty to the mix for the people that love Big Red. And, I mean, if it is reliable, 100 horsepower isn't bad. It's not like the thing's going to be a total pooch out there, especially if it, comes in at kind of the traditional 1,300 to 1,400 pounds.
Yeah.
If it's heavier than that, it's going to be a bit of a pig. But, for somebody who just wants to hit the key and kind of have that legendary Honda reliability, maybe this fits the bill for them. But, man, if it is going to be everything that they're showing it to be right now, and the price tag is where I suspect it will be, which is probably around that 20,000 mark, that's a lot of cheddar for a kind of middle of the pack side by side.
What the Double X is. It's the exact same price. It's pretty much it's slightly more horsepower, but it's CVT, so there's some gain and loss there.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is.
I think the Double X is built. I mean, the weight alone tells you it's built beefier.
It is.
It's the fact that the whole rear clip comes off with 6 bolts. The front suspension is replaceable. They've done a lot of innovative things there that, while it's not a performer yet, and eventually probably will have some sort of factory turbo, I don't really see these two as competing in the same space. I think this is just a plug a hole in the lineup for Honda that they don't really have any intention of being taken. It sounds mean, but being taken seriously in the market. I think Wildcat really wants to be taken seriously.
But you're going to have to compare them if you're talking about things labeled by the manufacturer as sport side-by-sides, and they're both naturally aspirated.
Yeah, true.
And they're both MSRP, if all's true, will be like the same. There's no way you couldn't compare them.
That's true. And really, if you're going to compare it to, say, the YXZ, which is also naturally aspirated, the YXZ is going to eat that thing's lunch from what we've seen so far.
Yep. And the regular
Even
Razor XP.
Yeah, or an NA X3, definitely. I mean, there's no comparison there either. So
yeah. I think what it'll really fill the hole for is the guy who always has Hondas and will have nothing else, and he wants something he can go beat down through the trails with more comfortably than the Big Red or any of those Pioneers.
And I really think that's what's this thing is going to have to do is be comfortable. It's really going to have to be it's got 90 to 100 horsepower, but it's going to have to be quiet, and it's going to have to ride like a dream. And that's the market they're going to have to gear this towards. Sure, it's a sport unit. Yeah, I can take some jumps. It's got decent suspension travel, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It needs to be kind of the cushy, rides really well, is a competent but not over-the-top buggy. I mean, if they try and go all out, I just think there's too much competition that's ahead of them in that market space.
Historically, Hondas have not ridden all that amazing. I mean, I'm just saying historically.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
Having been in their previous machines and on their four-wheelers.
That red one your dad has.
Y'all can see my face.
That thing rides like a lawn tractor.
Yeah. They just don't. No, I mean, they're quiet. They last a long time.
Reliable, like I said.
Reliable. Just ride quality has not been one thing you would normally use to describe it.
See, I think this needs to do that. If it's not going to be fast, it better ride good. And if it doesn't, they're in trouble.
Well, same thing with like the Double X. It's not amazingly fast. I'm sorry to all you Double X owners out there, but it's not fast. It's just not.
But the suspension's sweet.
The suspension is awesome. Now, also like shock therapy, they got one. I don't know if we talked about that on this show or not.
I think we did briefly, yeah.
But they got one, and they were touting how great the suspension was and how they never saw the bottom of it and everything else. I'm like, you guys are nuts. I could feel the bottom of it in the 2 minutes I was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's undersprung. It's a lot of weight in that thing. It just is what it is. And I think a lot of that has to do because they went from what originally that thing was supposed to have king shocks, and then they went to the Fox, which in my honest opinion are not as good shocks. They're just, the Kings are better.
Yeah, they are. They're just not as recognizable of a name, which
right.
We kind of covered that. That's why they went that route,
so,
which I think is unfortunate.
So I don't think they had as much time to develop and devote to shock tuning with the Foxes as they would have if they would have stayed with what they originally planned, which was the Kings. But Honda may have this figured out. I don't know. We'll see. If it's all legit, if it's all true, these are a lot of ifs in my mind. I
don't know that I want to put a monetary bet down, but I'll just say this. I will be extremely surprised if come November, this is a real thing. I just don't think it is.
Well, and normally they don't release machines in November.
No, that's a terrible time of year to do it.
Now, and then they may hit sales floors. They're starting to hit sales floors in June, July, August.
And again, nothing about this smells like a Honda, the way they would do it, the way this would, they're saying, well, it's leaked and yada. I just don't feel like this is the way Honda handles things. It's not the way they've handled things in the past. They're too smart in marketing to do it this way. And again, if you look at the machine, we've put a picture in the podcast here, or go out and find some other information that, man, if you go on Facebook and look up UTVs right now, that's all people are talking about. It doesn't look like a Honda. That is not a design I believe they would have come up with.
That was one of my things too. Not just the look, but the leaked photo thing.
Yeah.
Honda's smart.
Yeah.
They are a smart company. you don't just randomly come out with these big photos that someone just
with an incorrect watermark.
Yeah,
I'm just not buying. I'm sorry. Now, if it shows up on the market, I'd be willing to bet it's some Chinese manufacturer. Because that's I just think that's how it's going to go down. But we'll see. Come November, I'll either be right or wrong, and it doesn't matter because being wrong has never stopped me from talking anyway.
It's true enough.
Hey.
So, yeah.
You don't have to agree with me about everything.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath. I'll put it that way.
So you ran into a gentleman named Jason Bannon.
Yes, I did.
He was at the Midwest side-by-side race.
Yes, I did.
He's the one that we were referring to on the podcast about a month and a half, 2 months ago that I said, man, some lunatic went back and shotgunned every single episode.
He said that was him.
That was him.
Yep. I was talking to him. He said...
he was still able to form coherent sentences?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know it. Sorry for the brain damage. No, he was talking, he farms, I guess, and they were getting ready to, I think they were planting or plowing or whatever he was doing. And he said he just went and downloaded all of them. He said he kind of skipped through some of them. He likes the ones where we talk more about racing specifically.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So he kind of focused on those a little more, which is fine.
That's been a popular refrain with a lot of our listeners, honestly, is they really like the ones that deal more with racing. But,
yeah.
We could go racing every weekend. I just don't know schedule-wise how we'd make that work. But there's enough going around that we probably could.
I'll tell you guys the reason why I got to go to the Midwest side-by-side one was I asked my wife early in the week. I said, so what are your plans for this weekend? And she goes, well, I'm going to a wedding. And I go, crap. And she goes, don't worry, you're not going. I'm taking our daughter because you'll just complain the whole time. I go, yes, I'm going to the races.
Your childlike behavior once again got you out of trouble.
Paid off. Yeah.
I saw a license plate this weekend. We stopped at a gas station. It's up there by Grissom Air Force Base. It's kind of a halfway point where, the kids can stretch their legs. Jenny can go to the bathroom, just get out for a second.
You guys stop on a 3-hour trip?
I don't want to, but the family insists. So I'm like, whatever.
You don't pull over.
We're just going to skate past that and where I don't insult anyone in my family. But there was a license plate that said, I'm always in trouble, but it's so much fun.
That's me.
And all I could think of was you.
I saw someone posted something on Facebook and it went something like this. This is, some people subscribe to the happy wife, happy life theory. I subscribe to the slightly irritated wife, extremely enjoyable and fun life, or something like that.
There is really something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to tell people that.
No, they've caught that by now.
But Jason, in all seriousness, thanks for listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that you went back and just shotgunned them all.
And I'm sorry for the brain damage.
But honestly, if you do like the podcast, we are in a growth mode right now, but man, we would really like to see those numbers increase. So if you could find it in your heart to leave us a like or a review or both on whatever venue you find this on, whether that's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, if you listen to it, as a podcast or watch it as a video, no matter where you find it, just take a couple seconds, leave us a review, leave us a like, and also just spread the word. I mean, we've been growing a lot on social media recently, but it seems like the word of mouth is still the best way to get people interested, where you say, hey, check this out. They've got a podcast. Here's their website.
Look at these idiots.
Look at these morons. But we'd really appreciate it. We want to see that continued growth because it's really helping us in terms of opening doors for things we would like to do. And
stuff we can bring you.
And ideas that we can bring back to the show. So instead of us just babbling about how we hate every new machine that's coming out, we can bring you different stuff.
Yay.
Novel concept. So there's our beg. We're not begging you for money. We're begging you for exposure.
Yep.
The begging for money will come later.
Yeah. No.
No.
Well, we are getting to that mystical time where we have to stop talking.
Oh, no, we never do that.
Well, stop talking about other stuff, and we got to get to the important stuff like trivia for you.
Ooh, yes.
You didn't do so hot last week.
No, because Robert gave me different trivia than I was expecting. Adam gave me his normal space trivia that only he knows, and you gave me crap.
Well,
that's my 3 categories. I'm categorizing last week's in.
Then I've got more crap for you, sir.
Sweet. I did find out about Buzz's other nickname.
Okay.
Was it Mr.
Rendezvous?
Mr. Rendezvous. I want to call him Dr. Rendezvous because it sounds cooler.
Was it Dr. Rendezvous?
I think it's Mr.
Okay.
It wasn't because he had, crazy hookups before he went into space. It was because he was really, really super particular about docking. So if you've ever followed the space program and seen how they did that, they basically had to do like this complicated extract the lunar module and spin it around and then dock it with the command module so they could land the thing. Like it was a big to-do.
Right.
Well, he always wanted to have the radar going and locked on to the lunar module so that he knew exactly where it was and where everything else was. And like his docking maneuvers were extremely like to the millimeter precise. And nobody else cared that much. They just kind of like ram it home, capture, we're good. And he wanted it done in a very, very precise manner. And he was the only astronaut that cared to be that precise about it.
Okay.
So that's the nickname.
Fair enough.
Fuzzy evidently listened to last week's today because he'll just send me an instant message with no context.
Yeah,
like,
I get
what
those
are you
too.
talking? Oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I get that too. I'll get like random messages from people, and I'm like, "You're listening to the podcast, aren't you?"
From 2 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I don't even remember what we just talked about yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for your trivia, sir?
Lay it on me.
All right. Question number 1. How many Americans have at least one tattoo? Why are you looking at me?
This is one or more, right?
One or more.
Not
Yeah,
just
it's
one-
not
okay.
just a single tattoo, but one or more. That's what I said, at least.
There's 380 some odd million Americans in the country. I'll say, based on just casual observation, 150 million.
45 million.
Oh, see, I gotta believe it's more than that, dude. I'd see like every woman on the street has one on her top of her foot now. Seriously, in the summer when they're wearing sandals and junk, seems like I bet you there's 45 million women that have one.
That's what it was saying.
I think that's outdated. Seems
Whatever.
like everybody's got one now.
Whatever. Okay. E.T., the movie
Yep.
from the 80s.
Yes.
What was E.T.'s favorite candy?
Reese's Pieces.
Yes, it was. 1 internet point for Douglas.
Now, here's an interesting little trivia point. Have you ever seen the movie Mac and Me, I think it was called?
Uh-huh.
It was the direct ripoff
Yes, it was.
of E.T., and he liked M&M's and Pepsi. And it was basically a giant M&M's and Pepsi commercial.
Yes, it was.
The movie was so bad.
It was.
Go watch it if you hate yourself.
Yeah. Flight of the Navigator. I watched that not too long
Oh,
ago.
that's golden, man.
My brother had that DVD, and he's like, "This is crap." And I'm like, "I want that."
No, that's like
Give
the
it to
best
me.
movie ever. I mean, it probably hasn't aged as well as I think, but it's still, I gotta believe, a solid movie.
You want to borrow it?
Well, I don't have time right now, but yes, at some point
Your
I will.
kids need to see it. I
I
made
will-
my kids watch it.
Once I have the man cave done, I'll break it in with that.
Good enough. All right. Question number 3. What legendary San Francisco rock band that formed in 1965 was originally known as the Warlocks?
I don't know, the Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys were not from San Francisco.
I don't know. They're from the left coast. It's close enough.
The Grateful Dead.
Really?
Yep.
The Warlocks.
They were the Warlocks.
I never would have guessed that.
I wouldn't have either.
Where were the Beach Boys from?
They were Florida, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty sure.
I like their music. I know a lot about the music, like technical details, but I have no idea where they're from. So
Quick bit of trivia for you on the Beach Boys. My aunt knew them. They used to hang out at Indiana Beach because they would play shows there.
Oh, how cool would that be?
And my aunt, at the time, she was, I don't know, like a teenager or whatever. And like everybody in my family, have a business. Why not? And so she had like a floating pontoon with like a restaurant on it.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know, she was like a teenager, early 20s, like I said. And the Beach Boys would come there and eat. And she'd hang out with them.
Well, that's cool.
My dad had a pair of drumsticks from the drummer. I don't remember his name. I'm bad with that, about names. But
That's awesome.
so, yeah. My dad was a little kid, though, at the time.
They're
So-
an amazing band. There's audio out there where people have stripped the instruments out and just left the vocals.
Oh, they're good.
They're insane. Yeah, you just don't get that today.
No. And we'll leave that alone because I could go for a while on that one.
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast we should start. And I don't mean this one, like a whole different series of podcasts.
Yes. Okay.
We should call it Grumpy Old Guys.
O.J. Simpson,
Yes.
we'll just reference him as the football player.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
What does O.J. in his initials stand for?
That's Orenthal Julius.
No.
Close?
Orenthal James.
James. Crap. I was close.
You got the hard part.
Yeah, I knew the Orenthal. It was like a James, Jim. I was thinking it was Julius for some reason, but
No, James.
Okay.
Yeah.
Half an internet point. I get 3/4 because I got the hard part.
It's half. There's
3
two parts
quarters.
there. Half.
Okay.
Okay. Question number 5. What was the title of the very first James Bond film adaptation released in 1962?
The first one released?
Yes.
Dr. No.
Correct.
But it was not the first one recorded.
No. The first one released. I wasn't trying to be tricky there.
Okay.
I was trying. I threw some of these in, honestly, because I was like, I was really hard on him last week. And I wasn't trying to give you like softball underhand pitched ones, but I wanted to give you something that, okay, this is something Doug could know.
Do you know what the first one was?
That was filmed?
Yeah.
No.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Was it?
Yep.
Couldn't remember.
That was the one with George Lazenby. It was his only one he did.
Huh.
It's actually a good movie, but it's really kind of not James Bondy because it's a lot less tongue-in-cheek and it's more, serious and dramatic.
Spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, that doesn't work. Let's put more women in bikinis and, snarky quips in. And boom, the series was born.
And let's stick with that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Question number 6. How does a beaver signal other beavers that there is danger present?
Well, they slap the tail with their water or slap wood with their tail or something.
Slap the water
Swat their tail. That's what I meant to say.
Slap
the water
slap
with
their water
with their tail. I don't know how that would work. Yeah, slap the water with their tail
There you
or
go.
whatever is around, I guess.
Yes, that is how they do that. Very good. Question
If I
number
could talk, it'd been more coherent.
Yeah. Words are hard. Question number 7. Bubble wrap,
Yes.
the thing that everybody loves to pop, was invented while researchers were trying to make what? They didn't do it on purpose. It was an accidental creation.
Accident?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to believe they were trying to laminate something like, I don't know, laminated glass or something.
Wallpaper.
Oh, okay.
They were trying to make wallpaper.
I figured it had to be some sort of lamination process where two things were going together and air got trapped, and they're like, hey.
And they started popping it. We have to make more of this.
Wallpaper?
And we'll sell it to people by calling it shipping materials.
They must have been trying to make a specific type of wallpaper because wallpaper has to have predated plastic bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Because wallpaper's been around for centuries.
Yeah, I didn't get specifics on that.
Oh, okay.
So
They must have been trying to make, because it was probably during that era when everything was going to be plastic. That was the future.
yeah, everybody loves a feel of plastic.
Yes.
Okay, question number 8. Who are the 3 original owners of the Planet Hollywood chain of restaurants?
I don't have any idea.
No guesses?
Couldn't even hazard a guess. I've never even eaten at one.
I have eaten at one once. Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice. I'm surprised they didn't call Planet Disaster or, Planet Explosion or something like that.
Arnold's back there flipping burgers. Stallone's making the fries.
How cool would that be to go into a restaurant and see that, though? Seriously.
That would be, but I kind of doubt they didn't do that.
They should one day a year, all get together and just, they do the cooking.
No. I don't even know if they still own it.
Probably not. I can't imagine that 3 personalities like that really get along very well.
I don't know. Maybe for short amounts of time.
You know who
They've been in movies.
You know who Arnold Schwarzenegger used to hang out with all the time? Andre the Giant and Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Imagine those 3 tearing around. He was the little guy.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the little runt of the litter there.
That's funny.
They used to to do this thing where they'd get on each side of him and carry him around. Because Wilt Chamberlain, everyone knows him from basketball.
Yeah.
The dude was strong as an ox.
Oh, yeah.
He was freakishly strong. And they'd carry him around like a little kid. Him being Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Which would be hilarious to see. Because he's not very tall either.
He's like 6 foot even.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that tall even.
Yeah, he's like 6 foot even. He looks like a giant, but he's only like an inch or two taller than you and I are.
Yeah. Okay. We got off track there. Question number 9.
Trivia.
How many enemy planes must a pilot shoot down to be called an ace?
Oh, I've heard this, but I don't remember. 10?
5.
5. And when you think about it, we're not talking about the modern era of I'm locked on beyond visual range.
Yeah.
Boop, hit a button and the missile goes. This was like air to air, machine guns, 3-axis fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine how hard that was.
Fairly hard, I would bet.
Read some of the stories about like the top aviators in World War II that shot down like in the 20s.
Yeah.
That's insane. There was one story, I can't remember any details about it because it's been so long since I read about it, but this guy shot down like 7 people in one flight. That's insane.
You got to think about, he was probably getting low on bullets.
Oh, yeah.
Because those planes didn't carry
And
much.
fuel.
Yeah.
Because they didn't, I mean, these things were not up there for hours. I mean, like 30, 40 minutes, you were looking hard to come back home.
Yeah. All right. Question number 10. How long does it take a human blood cell to make a complete circuit of the human body? Assuming it, goes down all the right tracks.
Does it have a co-pilot that tells it where to go?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Just has to guess. I don't know. I know how fast I bleed when I cut a major artery.
Squirt, 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 squirt.
Minute and a half?
1 minute.
That was close.
You were reasonably close.
I wasn't way off like some. How
6
far down?
hours.
How far down does light go in the ocean? 3 miles.
That one you were ways off. Yep, that's all.
I didn't do too bad.
Not half bad. Could have been worse. Definitely could have been worse.
Well, you didn't pick totally retarded ones either. Those were kind of nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're quite
I'm sorry.
welcome.
Special needs ones. I don't want to offend anybody out there. We probably already have. That ship has sailed.
Yep, it has gone long, long ago.
Well, we haven't done any stupid stuff with Chad for a bit, so
We got 3 on the list, and there's plenty others.
I'm sure there are, but the Josh house skiing one's been on there a really long time.
Yes,
and
it
since
has.
it's been hotter than blazes, let's go the other direction.
Okay. So this story is from when my dad and I were building his house when we first moved down here. So it was just my dad and I. I'm an 18-year-old kid. Now, I'd built houses before. I'd worked with him. He was a contractor. So I knew what I was doing. I mean, he could kind of just, go do this, and I could be left alone to do it.
Sure.
My brother was a 15, 16-year-old kid, 16 years old, and it was a 16-year-old kid. Let's just put it that way.
16-year-old shoemaker, to be specific.
That should explain a bit more. So, he was the one riding his mini chopper around my house earlier in the podcast. So, and he's grown up since this happened. So anyway, I'm building walls on the second floor of the house. 2-story house. I'm building bedroom walls up there. So first floor is built, but it's all just stick framed.
Sure.
Down there, there's nothing but concrete and pieces of wood and everything else down there. So I have a wall up, just a single wall at this point. He gets out of school, he comes home, and I'm up there, and just a wall with like a 2x4 that's nailed to the deck and nailed to the wall just to hold it up until I get the other walls up.
Sure.
Because it's not going to be like that for long. Well, I'd gone downstairs and chucked some more 2x4s up, some studs, so that I could keep building walls. And I just threw them through that wall so that they weren't in my way, and they're kind of sitting half on the second floor and half hanging out over the first floor. No floor beneath it at that point. He comes up there, and he's, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Building walls. What do you think I'm doing?" I mean, raising unicorns. What do you think? I mean,
Yeah, same thing I've been doing for the past month.
yeah. Well, it didn't take us that long, but yeah.
No.
So he's up there, and I'm over on the other side of the second floor putting a wall together, and I look over, he goes, "Look, I'm skiing." And he's standing on 2 2x4s that are leaning through the wall, like pivoting back and forth. And like using the 2x4s as skis. Well, about that time, because he didn't imagine that one lone 2x4 that was holding that wall up. It's just nailed in with like a nail to hold it.
Yeah.
There I see him go backwards with my wall, falling off the second floor, taking the wall with him, right on top of him. He falls down. My dad was running a Bobcat outside backfilling some stuff. My dad hears the thud of him hit the concrete below. Just falls flat on his back, still holding my wall. And he's like, I'm just like, you're an idiot. You just pulled my wall down, just going, I'm skiing. And he just pulls the wall down. So, that is a story of my brother house skiing.
That's, after you told me you guys had the Shock Fest competition.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nothing surprises me about the only thing that surprises me about that house is it's still standing.
It's built well. It's fine.
After all your hijinks, I wasn't sure if you forgot bits or something like that.
You want another story that wasn't me during that house building thing? It's a quick one. We're pouring the concrete, and it's a big house. The whole house is 4,000 square feet or something like that.
Yeah, it's good sized.
And it's all on slab. So, of course, we're pouring concrete, and it's 90 degrees out that day. Big slab, big monopore. So all the footers are done at the same time. So there's like 16 trucks that came, 16 concrete trucks, and they were just rolling all day. We get to about the 7th truck that had been poured, and this guy comes in high as a kite. He's strung out on something, God only knows. Drives right through the forms where everything was already poured.
Geez.
And like half of the house concrete just runs out of the forms.
Oh, my word.
The only thing we could do, grab boards, build the forms back up, start shoveling. I shoveled concrete trucks worth of concrete back into those forms, and we saved it.
And you don't have time because it's hot?
No.
That stuff's curing really fast.
By the time I got the concrete shoveled back in, and it was just my dad and I and one other guy came to help that day.
Oh, my word.
And we're doing like 16 truck pour or 14 truck pour or whatever it was. They're running the hose on it full to try and get it to not set.
Oh, my word.
To try and finish it. And I'm just shoveling for all I have. I mean, constant for like 2 hours or an hour and something, whatever it was. It was ridiculous.
And the concrete company, I'm sure, was very sorry about the whole thing and gave you money back.
No.
No, of course not.
Yeah, Captain Retard there just drove through my forms, and then he's like, sorry, and he backs out. It's like, drop your concrete, don't come back.
That's super helpful. Yeah.
So.
No, it is a well-built house. You guys are, you might be insane, but you also are solid craftsmen, so I don't want to take anything away from that.
Did you say craftsman or crapsman?
Anyways, it's time to wrap up this podcast. Thank you all so much for coming back for yet another one. Once again, if you get a chance, please find one of the venues that you listen to us on and leave us a like or a comment. Tell us you hate us. Tell us you love us. Leave us ideas about what you want to hear on the show. Any input is good input and is definitely going to help us grow. That word of mouth too. Somebody at work is, hey, what's that goofy crap you're listening to? Don't be afraid to clue them in.
Share the crap.
Share the crap. Spread the crap around.
Yep.
Wow, we're really marketing this well.
Yes, we are.
All right, everybody. No matter whose house you drive through, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.